Today we're doing Trig Unit 1, Day 2. We're going to learn about radians, so we are going to find the definition of radians and then translate radians into degrees and degrees into radians. So in the past we've been measuring angles by degrees, and that worked pretty well for us, but today we're going to learn about radians. Why? And I got this definition from Wikipedia, which I show you, but it's still a pretty good one. Radian is a unit of a plane angle equal to 100 divided by pi degrees, or about 57.2958 degrees. Notice this. It is the standard unit of angular measurement in all areas of mathematics beyond the elementary level. So it must be good to know that you have actually arrived beyond the elementary level. So especially in pre-calc and calculus and other math classes you might take after this, angles are going to be in radians. And we're going to start today to learn about them. So in radians, you probably know that 2 pi r is the circumference of a circle. Why is that? Because 1 revolution, or 360 degrees, is 2 pi radians. 90 degrees then is pi over 2, actually. So these are our important markers. We've got 0 degrees, which is 0 radians. 360 degrees is 2 pi radians. 90 degrees is pi over 2. 180 degrees is pi. And 270 degrees is 3 pi over 2. And I didn't put it here, but every 90 degrees is pi over 2 radians. So we're going to learn how to convert angles into radians or degrees, because sometimes you will see angles in radians, sometimes you will see them in degrees, and you might want to convert. And there's a standard formula that we're going to use. So just to get you set up for that formula, as I said, 1 revolution is 360 degrees, which is equal to 2 pi radians. Half a revolution is 180 degrees, which is pi. And as I said in the last slide, each 90 degrees is going to be pi over 2 radians. Come on, let's get this. So if we want to convert an angle from radians into degrees, so let's say we have an angle pi over 3, and we want to figure out how many degrees it is, you're going to use this formula. The angle in degrees is equal to your radians times 180 over pi. So for this example, I'm going to take my pi over 3, which is the measure of my angle, multiply it by 180 over pi. And it makes it really nice. I can cancel these pi's out. This is 180 over 3, which is going to be 60 degrees. So often your angles and radians are left in terms of pi, like this. Certainly in our trig sheet, when we do our special right triangles, that you're going to have your angles looking like that. And so using this conversion makes it really nice if you have things in terms of pi, because your pi's will often cancel out. If your angle in radians is a decimal, so it might be 5.4, then this might not be helpful. You'll just have to use your calculator for that. All right, so here's my other examples. Unfortunately, a little bit small. 27 pi. So I'm just going to multiply that by my conversion factor. The pi's cancel out. This is going to be 360 divided by 7, which is 360 divided by 7. Depending on what I ask you to do, I would just put this into your calculator and find, well, actually, that's the other way around. So I would simplify the fraction and leave it in simplest form, unless I ask you to round to the tenths or the hundredths. In past years, we've actually had you do these on the test without the calculator, but I think now the only part of the test that's non-calculator is your special right triangles. So, I'm not really sure. I guess leave it in simplest form with fractions, unless I ask you otherwise. Okay, so you should try this. Convert 3/4 pi into radians. And again, just a fraction in simplest form, if it is a fraction, or the whole number, but don't put it in your calculator. Just leave it and as simplify as far as you can without a calculator. All right, so we know how to go from radians to degrees, or degrees, yeah, radians to degrees. Now we want to go from degrees to radians. So to convert an angle from degrees to radians, this is going to look very familiar. We're going to take the degrees, multiply it by pi over 180. So we basically took the conversion factor from the last slide and made it the reciprocal. And you can see this is going to leave you, if you don't have a calculator, it easily leaves you an angle in terms of pi. And on your worksheet, you're going to figure out some of your angles in terms of pi, and then the others you're going to put in your calculator and figure them out in decimal form. So let's look at the example, 140 degrees. So it's 140 times pi over 180. This is going to be 140 pi over 180. I can cancel my zeros out to give 14 pi over 18, and I know I can divide both of these by 2, and so I'm going to end up with 7 pi over 9. And that would be a great answer. Don't turn it into a decimal, especially if I say leave in terms of pi. That's how I would leave it. If I ask you to round to the 100th or something, round to some decimal, then obviously you're going to put that in your calculator and round it. Okay, I would like you to try this one. So that is our lesson. It's short and sweet. You will do the worksheet for day 2. And again, questions 9 through 6, leave it in terms of pi. So leave it like the example I did. Question 17 through 20, you're going to round to the hundreds, so you should put those in your calculators. Other than that, bring questions to class.